Okay, I've never really done this before. I don't have that much of an idea of what I want to talk about. Firstly, I want to make it clear that when I say I want to talk about social justice, I don't mean I want to talk about civil rights. I mean that I want to share my opinion on one of the aspects of social justice culture. Specifically, I want to talk about an aspect of social justice culture that I find to be, ironically, the only word I can think of is problematic. I can't find the right word. I'll get into it. The element of, and in all honesty, this is not exclusively an issue with the social justice community. Any culture centered around a strong set of ideologies could be affected the same way. I just chose social justice because I'm in college and I have a front row seat to the whole social justice culture, blah, 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 movement, what have you. Anyway, the element of social justice culture that I want to talk about today is the action and popularization, popular and popular the trend of condemning people with different ideological and moral standings than you have from being good and sometimes inherently good people. Let me give an example. Although I don't have a lot of physical instances to showcase, if you can't relate to what I'm talking about, this video probably isn't for you. But if you still need an example, here's a few. I'm talking about stuff that's centered around saying, hey, if you don't have this specific outlook, you aren't worth my time, or you aren't a good person, what have you. Let me get the obvious out of the way. If you condemn everyone on the planet who doesn't have a firm understanding of the complexities of gender politics, you are snubbing out most of the world's population from being justifiably respectable, at least to you. Is that really a world that you want to live in? A world where most of the population is at best unethical and at worst fundamentally irredeemable? A world where you dislike a group of people who are disproportionately uneducated? Not saying they're all uneducated, not saying you have to be uneducated to have an opinion that's different than mine. Just that there's not really a they in this equation. It's not one they. I'll get to that later. I think part of the problem is that there's assumption that when a person does something that contradicts your own morals, like voting for Trump or advocating against taxes, they're doing it for exclusively selfish reasons. May I remind you that everybody fucking ever has been presented with extremely different information all throughout their lives. So of course they're going to come to a different conclusion than you did. If you actually take the time to talk to people, I'm guessing what you'll find is this. People trying to do the most ethical thing they can in the context of how they believe society would be most ethically and sustainably run. And people with, sure, they have racial and sexual and whatever have you prejudices, still making moral and courageous choices to aid the ones they love. Hello, yes, it is I, Joe Southerner. I live in a small town where I was taught in high school that Christopher Columbus discovered America and didn't murder anyone. I'm probably not super big on gays getting married or whatever because the social culture I've been submerged in finds the idea of homosexual acts to be morally repugnant, the same way you guys feel about the stuff Woody Allen does or pre-modern day surgeries. Even though my negative prejudice outlooks undeniably are destructive to people, I also arranged an unofficial group of helpers to take down a town member who was abusing his wife and children, which I found to be deeply upsetting on a primal level. And if you just saw the stuff I did in the context of interacting with the 10 people in my small town, you would probably think I was a hero. Overall, my impact on this earth has been mediocre, but I'm doing my damnedest with the limited information and understanding that I have. Whoa! Stop right there, Joe. I see that you posted this article, Uncle Joe, from your son who lives in California, nephew who lives in California, about how Trump was not bad. Oh, nephew, are you here to treat me with respect and slowly alter my worldview over a period of years by showing me how my beliefs negatively affect others and provide me with scientific evidence that shows that a lot of the lifestyles I think are morally repugnant are not inherently unhealthy. So dumb. No, I'm just gonna be generally condescending because circumstance has led me submerged into a different culture than yours, whose general outlook towards people who don't like the gays is that they're innately selfish monsters who only care about their own delicate masculine sensibilities. You don't even understand the complexities of sexual and gender politics. You're right, I don't. And it doesn't mean you can't still feel angry if someone's opinion is that you're less than them because of some dumb arbitrary prejudice that they have. But we can't be so elitist as to think our worldview is the only one that's ethical for several reasons. One is the obvious irony. Two is you're not going to glean the sympathy from your political opponent or an on the fence bystander if you're disrespectful and show no understanding for what makes the person you're disagreeing with tick. People have different morals, and the reason I bring it up again isn't just for the technicality, but as a reminder of how to reason with these people, understand what they believe, and try to understand why so you can reason with them. Okay, I know I'm not making a very consistent or good point, and at this point I'm just kind of rambling. Let me condense my shitty argument. Bottom line is I don't like how every time I go on, it's not just Tumblr, it's not just social media either. But often when I speak with someone who's discussing their personal ideologies, there's this assumption that only people with a certain set of beliefs are ethical people. That's just concerning. I'm hesitant to say that it's just an internet thing or it's just some people as a part of a culture because we're all part of a culture. It's all like it's a little piece of all of us, and I think we should address that. I'm gonna go drink myself to death in the bathtub. Thanks.